a mushroom inoculant that we got from a little special grow kit. This is usually made out of something like shredded coconut coir, or sometimes people make it out of coffee grounds. You can buy these kits and they're a lot of fun to play with, but after a certain point they stop working, and you maybe want to actually incorporate them into your landscape. Mushroom gardening is actually quite popular. It's a great way to make sure that your dead materials like your leaves and stuff break down really well and make that nutrient bioavailable for your plants. So sometimes we get mushroom grow stuff from a couple friends of ours who grow mushrooms, and they'll give us an inoculant. And what you just do is you want to mix it in and apply it to the mulch in an area that you're growing. It's good for gardens. Check on what kind of trees you have in the area or what kind of mushrooms you're growing, and make those decisions. Now this is just a standard oyster mushroom. They do really, really well in all sorts of areas. They love to break down wood mulch and waste materials. There's been projects where they use it to actually clean up diesel oil spills along highways. So it's actually a really, really aggressive, wonderful plant, or not plant.
How does it clean up the diesel?
Not plant. It's a wonderful organism. So mushrooms, you break down hydrocarbons and utilize them, and diesel oil is basically long chain hydrocarbons, and so it's able to actually break that down and use it as its own energy. The same thing with wood. Wood actually, there's not a lot of things that can eat wood. Some bacteria can do it and mushrooms can do it. If we didn't have mushrooms, we'd be drowning under dead wood all the time. They're able to break it down and turn it back into materials that other plants and eventually animals can use as well. So one of the things you can do is you take a mixture of whatever mulches you're working with. We have a mix of leaf matter, recycled straw from our chicken nesting boxes. They kind of break down over time, and shredded wood mulch. We have some wood chips from our tree shredder. And we could take this inoculant and kind of crumble it up. An inoculant just is something that you use to basically seed material, and you let it grow and it'll kind of spread through the entire material. So we take that and go, kind of crumble it up, and then we'll mix the whole mulch together. Get it nice and mixed in there. And that'll incorporate these basically little seed mushrooms all over the place. And then you're going to take some water and you're going to wet it down. And one thing that's important while you're waiting for the mycelium to spread through all this material is you need to keep it nice and moist and make sure it doesn't dry out, but you also don't want it to be soggy. Like kind of like a damp sponge is a good texture. Like see how this is, it's not oozing water, but it's not dry. That's good. And then we're going to put it down on top of some cardboard, and then put another piece of cardboard on top of that for the first couple weeks, just so that it stays nice and dark, and the steady amount of moisture is not going to dry out very fast. You're going to want to check it every couple days and make sure it's not drying out. And then eventually you're going to start seeing all these little mycelium spreading out like little white fuzz or hairs all over the place. And then once that happens and you get enough of it, you take the cardboard off. The light will encourage the mushrooms to start fruiting. And then if you want, you can harvest it. You can use this for any kind of mushroom, really. We're using an oyster mushroom. We may end up getting a few wild mushrooms popping up in here, and that's fine. But if you want to grow garden mushrooms, this is a great way to start.
Go!
So as you're waiting on your mulch to inoculate, you want to keep it covered with a piece of cardboard. Check it every couple days, make sure it is staying nice and moist. And then when you're, like after a couple weeks, if you lift up the cardboard and kind of like lift up the mulch a little bit, if you see lots of white in there, then it's pretty well inoculated. And you can take the cardboard off and let it start to fruit. Now those little mushrooms that come up, that's the fruit of the organism. So that's just one way to check it.
And these mushrooms were gotten from a mushroom kit.
Yes, so these were oyster mushrooms. They like a lot of, you got your wood chips in here, you got your straw. It's a nice loose material. If you're trying to grow a specific kind of mushroom, you have to see what it likes. If you want shiitake, I think, or portobellas, they have to grow in a hardwood log. So you have to get a different kind of setup for that. You may end up getting some wild mushrooms coming up just because we gathered up this material from the ground, and that's fine too. Always check it before you eat it just to be sure, but we know what oyster mushrooms look like. They don't look like anything else here, so we'll be okay.